І тепер згортаю. О. Hello! Which country are you from? You are first spectator for today. Nice to meet you here. Austria. Very. It's, hi. Hey. Well, so Austria. I have been in Vienna. Switzerland. Very nice. Okay, so thanks for subscription and thanks for each support of my channel. For me, it's very important to see that there is interesting of people for what I am doing. Good evening. So yesterday I annotated round 9, but because was too late, I was able to annotate only 2 games. So I annotated game Rajabov against Nakamura and Firouzja against Rapport or Rapport. I don't know what is correct accent. So for today, my plan is annotate 2 rest games, from round 9. Caruana Nepomнящий game, very important game because it was game between 2 leaders, and another game, Ding Liren against Jan Krzysztof Duda. Before I start my annotation, I want to check if everything is okay with voice and picture. Please somebody confirm it. It's important that you can see me well and you can all good. Okay. So e4, Caruana, e5, Petrov defense, bishop d3, and now black has choice where to develop his bishop. Bishop d6 played Nepomнящий. Another line is bishop e7, immediately or after knight c6, firstly, only after castle, bishop e7. This is totally different theory. Okay, bishop d6, castle, castle, c4, c6, rook e1, nothing new. Bishop f5. Another option here is rook e8. And here probably the most unpleasant line for black is knight c3. Knight takes c3, b takes c3. If d takes c4, bishop g5 is very good move. It was game Kalifman played against Rosentalis. Pictures a little bit small, but okay, what can I do to improve picture? What can I do to improve picture? Is it important? If this is important, I can make a little break and try to improve my picture. Up to you. It's good. Okay. So rook e8. Of course, there are some other possibilities after rook e8. But knight c3 looks like the most important theoretical line here. Okay, bishop f5, queen b3, queen c2 is also possible. Vishy Anand played queen c2, but okay, queen b3, queen d7. Thanks for subscription. So queen c2 is possible. It's possible as well, but after this, knight d7 positions about equal. Slightly better for white after bishop g5, queen c7, bishop e7, knight b6. Rook fe8 is hardly good because knight g5 is coming. So knight b6, takes, queen b3. Was my game against Gelfand. Okay, I will try to make a bigger picture next time. Thanks for your attention to this topic. So queen b3, now black has choice again. Queen d7 played Jan Nepomniachtchi. Another theoretical line is knight a6 here. And after this, knight c3, bishop e6. Yes. Bishop b4 here is very bad because white is winning after queen takes d5. And after queen takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes e1, knight e7 check, and knight f5. And black is losing material. Is my favorite player Rajabov? Why is my favorite player? Okay, he's a player, but never considered my favorite in this tournament. Is almost maximum high. Okay, so I will try to improve this. It can be much bigger anyway. So bishop e6, and now a lot of theory, many games was played. Knight b5, for example, is possible. a3 is possible as well. But okay, it's totally different line. Important also that if knight c3, cannot play knight c5 because after d takes c5, knight takes c5, bishop takes f5, knight takes b3, a takes b3, white is much better in this position. Three pieces is much more important than queen. So after knight c3, the best for black is d takes c4. Now if bishop takes c4, knight takes c3, b takes c3, b5, and next move knight c7, black has good chances to equalize game. And if queen takes c4, black has a nice trick. Bishop takes h2, knight takes h2, knight d6. This is the idea. White has enough compensation, but for white is better to take with king. After knight d6 to play queen b3, bishop takes d3, bishop g5. Here white has enough compensation for the pawn, but enough only for equality. According to my memory, queen b8 is the best move for black, and after some moves, position is equal. But okay, so this another line, queen d7 played Nepomniachtchi, and now main theory is knight c3, and after knight takes c3, sorry. Okay, knight c3, knight takes c3, it's bishop f5, queen takes f5. If b takes c3, b6. Thank you. Thanks for subscription. It's very important for me. After b takes c3, b6, we have a position from World Championship match between Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi. If queen takes b7 here, black should play queen d7. White cannot take the rook because after this knight a4 is very strong. Knight b6 is threat, and after c takes d5, just knight b6. Black is winning. If c5, knight a6, and also white is losing his queen without sufficient compensation. So queen takes a8 is bad move. Much better to play queen takes d7, knight takes d7. Now b takes c6 is approximately equal according to the theory. If c5, bishop takes h2, and then knight e4. It is my game against Peter Svidler. White is slightly better objectively, but with precise play, black can hold the position without special problems. So knight h4, it was novelty. Very interesting idea. Surely it was prepared at home. Bishop is attacked, so looks like bishop e6 is only a reasonable move. D takes c4 is hardly good alternative because white can simply take. Again, bishop is under attack. If b5, let me think. Knight takes f5, queen takes f5, and white has problem with f2 pawn. So maybe bishop d3 simply. If bishop e6, queen c2, knight f6, knight c3, for example, this position looks like more pleasant for white. Probably there is something else, but okay, queen takes c4 hardly better because bishop e6 and knight f6. So better to provoke b5. So bishop takes c4, I think it's correct. And after b5, bishop d3, yes, I think it should be better for white. Well, so bishop e6, very natural response from Jan. Queen c2. Of course, Fabi is still in his preparation. He wants to attack black knight. Of course, immediately f3 was bad because black can take. And after this knight f6, black has no problem at all. This is white who has problem with his knight on h4. Very strange position. So queen c2. Now white is prepared for f3, probably c5 in some moment can be possible. Knight a6, very natural. At the moment, bishop takes e4 is not threat because black has more than sufficient compensation. It's quite typical idea in this line. For example, also here, after queen c2, knight a6 is main line. And after bishop takes e4, this rook e8, black has more than sufficient compensation for the pawn. So after knight a6, main theory is a3, and now bishop g4, knight e5, bishop f5, b4, and now old line is f6, knight f3, bishop g6, which I played with black against Peter Leko. And the new line is c5, which was played by Lenier Dominguez. idea is that after c takes d5, c takes d4, bishop takes e4, rook c8, black has contraplay, which is maybe not totally enough for equality, but at least gives black good practical chances. So you can see idea knight a6. First of all, thanks for new subscription. I really respect my spectators. It's important to have a lot of spectators. If I think Magnus will play, of course he will play. But at the moment 5 rounds left, so it's okay. 1 point leadership is important, but when 5 rounds left, it's there is no guarantee that Jan will win this tournament. But I think if he will win, okay, Magnus should play against the winner. So rook e1. So queen b3, queen d7. So knight h4 novelty, knight a6, a3. But now, well, now black has choice. So Jan played f5. It's tempting move. It's aggressive move because now black knight on e4 is protected. Somewhere black can try to prepare attack in king's flank, but from other point of view, f5 is risky because of positional reasons. If imagine that in future white will occupy e5 square with his knight, it can be maybe not terrible, but quite unpleasant for black. So many moves here can be considered. I don't know that bishop takes e4 is a real threat at the moment, so moves like knight c7 can be considered, rook e8 can be considered, or another rook to e8. So black has a lot of choice here. I don't know what is better to play and what prepared Fabiano against each of logical moves here. Surely he made such a preparation, but Jan played f5, so it's we'll see. So now it's not clear for me that f5 is the best, but for sure it's one of logical moves in this position. f5, c takes d5, because now c5 it's a little bit strange. Position will be closed and black can try to attack in king's flank. Also, maybe not totally stupid, because, for example, if bishop e7, knight f3, bishop f6, bishop f4 is coming, but the question how strong it is. For example, g5, bishop e5, g4, bishop takes f6, g takes f3, bishop e5 back. Maybe it's good for white. If f takes g2, maybe f3, but this line is not forced. After c5, black can consider also bishop b8 to prepare knight c7, knight e8, something like this. So, but I'm sure that c takes d5, Fabi following for his following his preparation. So I don't think that f5 was moved that he didn't analyze during his preparation. So c takes d5. If I agree with Kramnik, difficult to say because there are many different games and everybody making mistakes. So now it's and I remember very fine story which with legendary grandmaster Vladimir Savon. He was my coach. About in 1990, for example, in 1990 Interzonal in Manila, he was my second. And I remember story, he came back from one of tournament where he was played, and he explained me. It was really strong, it was very strong tournament with a lot of mistakes. And another my coach, Mikhail Nekrasov, asked him, what you mean? Why tournament is strong if there are many mistakes? But okay, Savon explained that many mistakes is because strong resistance of opponents. So if in candidates tournament there are many mistakes, and this means that all participants are fighting till the last chance, and against such a strong, very difficult to avoid mistakes. Why doesn't play more of bit opening in the candidates played the Trompovsky against? So I don't understand probably question. You mean some rare opening you want to see in candidates tournament or what? But if you want to see something really rare, well, for example, Bishop f4, which played Duda against Rapport in first round, it's extremely rare line. Good evening. So c takes d5. I think Fabi is following his preparation. C takes d5 as well. Bishop takes d5 may be risky because white can consider several moves. Knight c3 simply possible, maybe f3 even possible, but f3 I'm not so sure about queen c7. Bishop takes h2, king h1, and something like bishop g3. Also, after bishop g3, e takes d5. Maybe it's not. Also, queen g3 is possible, by the way, to attack rook. But okay, after bishop d5, probably more simple to play knight c3, and white has initiative because black knight a6 is a little bit out of play here. So c takes d5, knight c3, natural. Rook ac8, natural, but maybe knight c7 also logical to prepare rook e8 in future. For example, if f3, black can take and to play. Now we can see, however, problem of f5 move. For example, if black plays g6, f4, and then knight f3, knight e5 is coming, or even start with bishop h6, if rook e8, now f4, and again positional idea, knight f3, knight e5. So rook ac8, natural move, there is pin. Knight f3, b3. Nepo played knight f3, b3. I remember he won a very nice game against Karyakin. I'm not sure that against Karyakin, but probably against somebody else. But for sure, against Bakro. Sorry, against Bakro, it was opening. Knight f3, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, e3, bishop e7, b6, castle, bishop b4, c5, c takes d5, knight takes d5, queen b1, knight c6, h4, something like this. It's game Nepo White against Bakro. Jan won a very impressive game. Backward c pawn is not important. In French defense, no, in candidated tournament, till now nobody played French defense. Last experience was in Hamburg. It was previous latest tournaments, not this. Okay. Let's come back to the game. So f3 played Caruana, and now White has same plan. So after knight takes c3, b takes c3, they want to play f4, knight f3, and knight e5. This is the main positional plan. I don't know how simple it is. For example, black can try to play g6. If f4, bishop f7, if knight f3, queen c7, and black has double attack. So white will lost pawn, but there is compensation for sure. For example, bishop d2, bishop takes f4, bishop takes, maybe knight e5 immediately, or take first, and now play knight e5. Knight is very strong. It is for sure a compensation, but I don't know how strong this compensation, and also I don't know, is it forced line? Probably after bishop f7, white can wait somehow to defend firstly his pawn c3, for example, to play maybe even bishop d2. And again, knight f3, knight e5 is plan, and positionally not so easy for black. Backwards pawns. It's problem. Queen takes d4. Where queen takes? After knight e5, queen takes d4. Sorry. Yes, this is not possible. You are right. I always want to say thank you if somebody shows me mistakes in my annotation. I will try to be more careful. So probably bishop d2 is better to prepare knight f3, and only then knight e5. Rook c7, okay, knight f3, and knight e5 is coming, and c3 is backward pawn, yes, but it's difficult for black to attack this pawn, and this pawn support d4 pawn, and knight will have excellent square e5, so positionally white is better here. It's question how much better, however, probably black should play. Okay, if knight f3, queen e7, if bishop b2, maybe something like this, because knight is problem for black after knight f3. Also, however, it's necessary to consider knight takes f5, g takes f5, bishop f5 with maybe it's strong, but and then bishop takes h7 check, and somewhere rook a3, so also reasonable idea. Maybe black can defend, however, for example, this and this to prepare king h8, but at least such idea need to be considered. But okay, if knight f3, knight c6, if knight e can play something like queen c7 to prepare knight a5, knight c4. At the moment, knight takes d4 is threat also. But anyway, why not queen c7? Now queen c7. After bishop d2, queen c7. Queen c7 is possible, but what to do after g3? White protected pawn and ready to play knight f3, e5. Same idea. Okay, so knight takes natural, but still not easy for play. Jan Nepomniachtchi played differently. Bishop e7 he played. Yes, easier to play with for white, I agree. Because of f5. Without f5, it's question for whom is more easy to play. But in this game was more easy to play for Fabi before e5 because he obviously analyzed deeply this variation before playing, and Jan Nepomniachtchi could not analyze knight h4 line during his preparation. So he played bishop e7, now knight d6. Interesting idea. He doesn't want to take on c3, and he wants to prepare bishop f6 and attack d4 pawn. And position looks a little bit shaky, but if queen e2, for example, black has knight c7, and all is more or less. Yes, I'm posted all of my videos to YouTube with some delay, maximum 2 days delay, but queen e2 is possible, but queen e2 knight c7, and black has more or less protected position. Okay, but probably knight takes d5 is possible, however. If bishop takes h4, knight takes c7 is possible. If knight takes d5, queen takes e6. If bishop takes d5, queen takes e7. So, looks like promising for white. Maybe black has some counterplay. Доброго дня. So queen e2 was promised. Knight c7 is only move. Black has no choice because bishop is hanging. Rook f6 is bad because bishop g5. King f7 hardly can be considered seriously such a move. So it looks like crazy. So knight c7 looks like natural, but knight takes d5. Yes, I agree that it was very tempting possibility for Fabi. Hi. Merhaba. Türkçe biraz konuşuyorum. Azerbaycan dili anlayabiliyorum. Доброго дня чи доброго вечора, якщо ви з України. І çok teşekkürler. So knight takes d5. So it's important to understand why Fabi didn't play this. So it looks like really tempting idea. If bishop takes h4. Yes, so it looks like really good. So what to do is black. Not easy to understand. My first idea was bishop takes d5, queen takes e7, takes and knight e6, but now even rook d7 is possible, probably bishop e3 is possible as well. Maybe just bishop e3, f4 also. But okay, so bishop e3, f4, bishop f2, for example. Okay, but now maybe if take, white can take with bishop. Because my idea, if take with pawn, black has idea to play g5, and if knight g2, take on f3 with rook. Although even here it's far from clear that everything is good for black, because two bishops are very strong. Yes, I agree that queen e2 was very promising alternative, probably even stronger than queen a4 what played Fabi, but he played queen a4. I don't know why. It's hard to believe that he didn't consider idea queen e2 and knight takes d5, but probably he have seen something. Тимура я разбирал вчера. Today I will analyze Caruana Nepomniachtchi and Ding against Duda. Yesterday was Timur Rajabov against Nakamura, and another game which was yesterday, Firouzja against Rapport. So please, you can see video from yesterday. Okay. Of course, my goal is to analyze all of games. Oh, queen a4 played. Regia. Bishop f6 is more or less forced, because obviously better to take. For example, if take, king f7, only move. But even bishop takes a6 and knight c5 looks like extremely unpleasant. Probably black is not losing immediately after bishop takes h4, but even after g takes h4 and bishop f4, this position is terrible for black, because knight on c5 is very... Okay, maybe... if knight b5, bishop e5 simply possible. So black has only many weaknesses without any counterplay. So bishop f6 certainly is the best move here. Bishop f6, queen takes d7, forced, bishop takes d7, knight takes d5. Bishop e3 was possible as well, but... and black could play bishop d4, not allow white alternatives with bishop e3, but okay. So knight takes d5, so bishop e3 is possible. Bishop takes d4, and now again bishop e3 looks like logical, and take. Black cannot take on b2 because knight e7 check, obviously, so after take, white is better. Only question how much better after rook cd8, for example. Thank you. Nice to see you here. But okay, king g2 was choice of Fabi, so he doesn't want to exchange bishops, because he want to realize idea with bishop f4 and attack black knight. Logical idea. Rook c8 played young. I don't know if knight c5 was possible here. Maybe yes, maybe not. So for example, if check, king can go somewhere. Okay, not somewhere, not here, of course, because white will take with check and win. So king h8, only move. My idea, knight takes c8, knight takes d3. And but okay, rook d1 is rook takes c8, rook takes d3, and black is exchanged down without serious compensation. If rook c2, even rook d2 can be strong. Although maybe king h1 even stronger, with idea to utilize pin on d line. So black is in danger of material losses. So rook c8, logical, bishop f4. Black has many problems here because knight is hanging. Also, there are obvious problems with pawn on e7 in many variations. But okay, knight c5, Jan is fighting. Very big choices are possible. Bishop f1, bishop c2, bishop b1. And, okay, bishop f1 is probably even on. We can try twice. So knight bishop c4 is coming. I mean, if not, let's see. Maybe even here it's possible. C8 can just not to play, but take no takes. Rook e7 is threat. So bishop c4, bishop e6. If rook e7, e6, so black is not losing immediately, but bishop e6. It's important that bishop c4, bishop e6, still fine. I'm probably just before logical. And yes, I'm home. No, I'm not living in Kiev. I live in Lviv. So before looks like very strong idea because if knight e6, if knight it's just a mate. Good evening. So bishop f1 probably proves that trouble. So probably if you losing position. Mistake. In expand, give him and totally ornament. Uh, even I will make mistake. What about now? Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Now it's good. Okay. So after bishop f1, it looks like Fabi is very close to win in this position. I don't see good defense for black here. Only probably some practical chances. Okay, let's see. Maybe a rook e8 here, but after rook e8, rook d1 looks pretty unpleasant. And what to do? Black is in big danger, so knight e6 is only move. Looks like, at least. But knight takes f5, and if bishop takes b2, pray it's possible. I agree that it's always to pray, but okay, so knight e6. Well, white has idea also to play bishop c4. Bishop b4, bishop b4 less convincing because black has bishop a4 with tempi. Bishop c4, yes, it's possible, and if bishop takes b2, rook b1, it's pretty unpleasant. And rook will penetrate on b7. Knight f5. Knight f5, bishop b2, bishop f4. It was my first idea, but it's not. It doesn't work because knight f4 check is coming and bishop takes f5. So, but it's interesting that you are thinking same way. My first idea was knight takes f5 and bishop b4, but then I realized that knight f4 resource. Okay, no reason for sorry. We are trying to understand chess better, and nobody can avoid mistakes. If I am doing some mistakes, if somebody shows me mistakes, excellent. I totally support this. So, in my opinion, it's a stronger c4. Rook takes d4 set, after bishop takes b2, rook b1. But okay, maybe black can fight. After rook b1, b5 is possible also. And at least white cannot win immediately. It's dangerous position, I agree. But for example, rook takes b2, rook b7, g6, bishop takes b2, g6, no, rook takes d4. Set. Black has no time for g6. g6, rook takes d4. Game is over. Yes, but so bishop takes b2 is correct, and now if rook b1, b5, and still rook takes b2, b takes c4, rook b7, knight f8 is not possible because bishop takes f8, so rook d8 only move, and now knight takes f5 with idea bishop e7. But okay, c3 it's coming, so black still alive. Pawn can be dangerous, and black has contraplay. Okay, let's try. So rook e8, rook d1 looks like the best. Bishop c4 is okay. Bishop c4, bishop e6. Maybe it's also possible. Bishop c4. If bishop e6, white has idea to take. And after only move bishop takes c5 to take here and take on f5 and play this endgame with pawn up. g6, for example. But okay, it's not easy to win this. So pawn up, but black has chances for draw. So rook d1 looks like more natural. Knight e6. As you can see, it's still not easy. So white has no clear win here. Bishop c4 and then rook d1. So bishop c4 after bishop e6 and then rook d1. Very interesting. But what is your idea if I will just take on b2? I don't see anything special for white in this position. So what is the best? Okay, rook d1 looks pretty good. Knight e6. Maybe bishop c4. Bishop takes after bishop b2, maybe. Bishop b4 was my idea, but black has bishop a4 and still not totally clear. Although rook b1 is coming and then knight takes f5, but this is advantage for sure. But it's not winning yet. So bishop e5 after knight takes f5. Another proposition, knight takes f5 after knight e6. Knight takes f5, yes. Bishop takes b2. And what now? Without bishop c4. So, okay, knight takes f5, bishop takes b2. So what you want to play now? Now rook b1. Now rook b1. Yes. Now it's really strong. This is a big problem for black. But okay, knight d8 I should play probably. Okay, looks very bad, however. But how to win? Of course, even after rook takes b2, white is much better. Or knight h6 check and rook takes b2, but it's not win yet, at least. So black still fighting, surprisingly. If bishop c4, I have bishop e6, and I am not losing immediately. Because after rook take, maybe I'm losing because bishop c7 maybe strong. And I have no defense against knight d6 check. Yes, this looks like losing for black. So knight takes f5, bishop takes b2, and now rook b1, strong move. If bishop goes somewhere, rook takes b7, it should be winning. If knight d8, okay, if other move with knight, I will take and take on b7. Maybe black can fight, however. Black can try something like this. And king e6. With idea bishop h3 in next move. Doesn't look realistic, however, but who knows. Knight g5 probably also bishop c4 is possible. Yes, bishop c4 is strong. Because after king f6, king f6, and knight takes g7 hardly good because bishop h3, and black has black is even winning. So this is mistake because bishop h3 check. Okay, so but so knight g5. Yes, time to time I'm playing Title Tuesday. Hello. So okay. Yes, rook b2, this, but king e6, yes, it should be winning, but still some fight. Okay, maybe bishop f4, if bishop h3, king f2, if bishop takes f1, bishop takes g5, with idea to take on g7, yes, it should be winning. So, okay, I agree. After correct move bishop f1, Fabi was very, very close to win, but it was not like something really obvious. But he mistaken. So he took on f5, and after forcing line, probably he just missed knight d3. Probably he considered only bishop takes b2, and now that's true that bishop. Why hasn't started? Okay. It's about Title Tuesday. So bishop d6 and rook c8. But here, how white win? I don't see. If knight e7, knight d3 is coming. So what was idea after bishop takes b2? Okay, bishop d6 looks like the most natural. Rook c8, how to win here? Bishop e7 is possible, but bishop e7, rook c6. And black is still fighting. Or maybe even rook c7. No, rook c6. With bishop e7, I think is correct. So even here, I don't see clear win for rook e7. Okay, king f6. King f6 you can take with knight on g7. So king g6 probably. And just g4. No, bishop e5, no. Maybe just g4 is extremely unpleasant. So probably something like this Fabi expected. Okay, again, really dangerous for black, but no forcing win. But Jan played much better. He played knight d3, and now suddenly everything is fine for black because contraplays. White has too many hanging pieces. So rook is hanging, bishop f4 is hanging. If rook e7 check, king f6, and also knight on f5 is hanging. So after knight d3, looks like Fabio lost his advantage. So his mistake was to take on f5, obvious mistake. Okay, not obvious, so obvious after analyze, but of course it's not obvious if you are playing on the board and you have many tempting alternatives in this position. So this was mistaken. Bishop e5, bishop d6, rook c8, bishop e5 here. Where bishop e5? Bishop e5, or you'll just take on e5? Oh, rook e7 looks like the most promising. If king g6 to play g4 with good winning chance. Here bishop e5, I just take. What is my problem? Rook takes e5 and king f6, for example. So here bishop e5 is totally harmless, but rook e7 is strong, and after king g6, g4. And now black has big problem with defense. For example, white can take on c5 and take on b7. And if bishop f6, for example, rook takes g7, white has idea. Bishop takes g7, knight e7, and then take on c8. This is probably winning because black will lost also a7 pawn. 2 pawns up, it's enough for me. But knight d3 and Fabi is suffering, so there are no chances for win anymore, unfortunately for Fabi and fortunately for Jan. Rook e4, bishop takes b2, material is equal, and now white has no possibility to create serious threats anymore. Bishop d4, bishop f8. So bishop takes g7 doesn't work because bishop takes g7 and king f6 is coming and white is losing the piece. It's quite obvious variation, but just to illustrate that white cannot utilize this motif. So rook e2, he played g6, knight e7. Now it's totally okay for black. Black has many safe opportunities. Even b5 is possible, for example. If rook d2, knight b4, this idea to prepare rook a2. But okay, so rook d8 is practical decision. Now bishop is attacked, bishop b6, rook d6, rook e4, bishop g7, f4, rook e6. And now the draw is perpetual check. Very understandable decision. So very interesting game, very good preparation of Fabiano, but very strong resistance of Jan, and in critical moment Fabi mistaken on only one time per game, so he took on f5, but it was enough to miss all of winning chances. So that's chess, that's sport. Especially sport in highest level. Okay, so now we will consider game Dink against Duda. So c4, g3, e6, bishop g2, d5, knight f3, d takes e4. Of course, black has other reasonable moves. Bishop e7 is very solid line, and now white can play classical Cataladi's d4, and also possible to play b3, also possible to play queen c2. This is line of Bahadur Jabala. Okay, d4 during last time is popular. It's a little bit strange, but nobody can refute it yet. The point, if b4, black has idea just take, and after queen a4, knight c6, and after knight e5, rook b8. And this position is playable for black. So this position is playable for black, but for example, interesting to know that before white is playing castle, now bishop, black should play knight c6 probably, or c5 is possible as well, but not bishop e7, because now b4 is really strong. After bishop takes b4, queen a4 check, knight c6, knight e5, rook b8. It doesn't help anymore because white has queen b5 here, and this position black cannot survive. But without castle, according to my memory, queen b5 doesn't work. I want to understand why. Now simply bishop d7 is possible. And after knight d7, queen takes d7, white cannot take this because of this. And rook is hanging, this is difference. So here bishop e7 is bad move. Or even knight d7. Knight d7, yes, knight d7. But maybe not even queen b5. I remember there is also idea to play c5, knight d3. Maybe c5 is possible. If castle, knight d3. Black is in big trouble. So okay, so d4 was possible, but d takes c4. Knight d5, c5, knight d5 you want to play. After knight d5 I can just take, and after this a3 to win. After knight d3, castle, knight d3, knight d5, or just take is possible, and then take the bishop. And black has no sufficient compensation for the bishop. Can take a7 where okay, so d takes c4 played Jan Krzysztof, this, queen takes c4. Now, according to the theory, the main line is c5, and after c5, d3 is the best. Not castle. Castle looks like very natural move, but according to theory, it's great inaccuracy from white, because after castle, black can develop his pieces in very pleasant way. So b6, it's strong move, and now black wants simply played bishop b7 with comfortable position, and white can not utilize the weakness of diagonal. For example, if knight d4, knight e5. Important trick. So if knight c6, if not knight, queen c2 is possible, but after queen c2, just rook b8 and black is totally fine. If knight c6, black can just take. If knight takes d8, knight d5, knight c3, this, bishop b7, knight e3, bishop takes g2, and this endgame is equal according to theory. So after c5, better for white to play d3. Also queen b3 it's possible. This idea to prevent b6, for example, after queen b3, black cannot play b6 because knight e5 here. But very important not to play castle. For example, d3, now b6 doesn't work because knight d4 is strong. Not knight g5, however, because if knight g5, black has rook b8, and if bishop f4, bishop b7. Everything is okay for black. But knight d4 is really unpleasant, and now same line, knight c6 is black is losing material, because after knight takes c4, knight takes d8, his knight is hanging. If knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, bishop d7, just takes, and f3 or even castle, black has no sufficient compensation for an exchange. Bishop d7, yes, bishop c6 is also possible, and b5 it's still playable line till now. Yes, bishop d7, yes, many games was played, d8, and now white can play some normal moves like d3, castle, knight c3, or just play queen d3. It's another move, this idea after knight c6 to take on d7 and play this position, like can exchange queens or take with knight. Many games was played. It's important to know that there is another similar variation with important difference. If white plays knight f3, e6, how it was, just a moment, what I want to... no, I mean this move order. If knight f3 here, d5, g3, d takes c4. Now it's a big difference. Black can play bishop d7, strong move. And after queen takes c4 to play c5, another strong move. The difference that after bishop g2, black will not play knight f6, but bishop c6 is much precise. And after knight e5, black doesn't need to waste time for queen c8. So knight c6, of course, is much better, and this position is equal because black save an important tempo. So they took on d7 from d8 without wasting time for queen c8. So this bishop g2, knight f6, and then bishop e7, castle. So this is equal position. So this is important difference in move order. Okay, so a6, queen c2. Of course, black wants to play b5 with Tempi. For example, if castle, bishop b7, or if queen c6, now rook b8 or rook a7, and then bishop b7 as well. So queen c2 is prophylactic move, and now b5 it's pretty risky because knight d4, knight d4, knight d5, knight c6 looks like very unpleasant for black. If queen f6, knight c3 is coming, black has tactical problems. It's a little bit, remember another line which Kramnik played. It's important to know. I mean this line. Is everything okay with sound and video? Because if chat is passive, I'm worried if I'm talking to emptiness. All good, thank you. Muchas gracias. Entonces quería enseñar una línea teorética G6, G6, so B3, Kramnik's choice. And if C5, D takes C5. Queen A5 check, knight BD2. Same type of position. And now, thanks for subscription. Very pleasant for me that so many people supporting me. I want to explain that in this position many games was played. Black should take on C5. After bishop B2, bishop G7, E3, castle, so something like this, c4, b6, bishop e2, bishop b7, castle, d6, knight b1, knight d7, knight c3, something like this. I remember Mamedjarov played this with white. I don't remember against who. But important trick is if black plays knight e4. Looks like promising for black because after bishop b2, knight c3, queen c1, bishop g7, white has some problem with development of pieces. But there is idea c3. It's very tricky idea. And black cannot take on c3, nor with knight, nor with queen, because here queen c2 and bishop b2 is coming. If queen takes c3, rook b1, again bishop b2 is coming, black has no good defense, because if if queen takes c5, rook c1, it's simply losing. So the best for black is just to take on d2, white taking with queen, with threat b4, so queen takes c5, queen d4. This is point of white strategy. So queen takes d4, c takes d4, and this endgame is slightly better for white. Maybe nothing special, but okay. So d5, e3, knight c6, bishop d2, e6. Black can hold this, but position is more pleasant for white. So this is important to know. Also from another move order, knight d2 can be. If now c5, d takes c5, queen a5, b3, same position. Although here white can also play a3, of course. Queen takes c5, b4, queen c7, bishop b2, bishop g7, e3, and play this position. More or less standard position. Okay, but let's come back to game Ding against Duda. Sorry, where they are? Vadimka, I'm not Vadimka. It's b5 now not possible. It's still theory, of course. c5, knight c3. Again, white is fighting against b5 or b6 because if b6 or b5, knight e5 is pretty unpleasant. So much more important. It's more important to play knight c3 here instead of castle, because if imagine that white is playing castle, black totally can consider b5 or b6 because now knight e5, knight d5 is possible. So knight c3, queen c7, this is theory. I remember Aronian played this probably with white, but I don't remember against whom. But for sure it was Aronian, but probably even with black, but I have feelings that he was white. But who was... Okay, I like that you are enjoyed with my stream. So castle, b6, this is theory. D takes c5, bishop f4 is possible, bishop d6, so D takes c5, played Dink, bishop takes c5, Russian plus English. Okay, but I'm not doing streams in Russian during last time. Usually I'm doing streams in English, sometimes in Ukrainian language. But if somebody from... Якщо хтось є з України, зараз мене чує, так, і хоче мене щось запитати, будь ласка, задавайте питання українською мовою прямо в чаті, я вам українською мовою відповідатиму. Не соромтеся, прошу. I explain for Ukrainian people, so if somebody from Ukraine, please write me in Ukrainian language, I will answer also in Ukrainian. Question. Yes, питання is question. Question, yes. In Ukrainian language, питання. Or запитання is possible. So, both words are correct. Питання is possible, запитання is possible. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Дякую. Çok teşekkürler. Okay, so D takes c5 played Dink. Black has choice. Many captures is possible. Even knight takes c5 looks like logical. So maybe after knight takes c5, white is planning to play rook d1 to prepare bishop f4 without bishop d6. I don't know. Like Polish, okay, there is some similarity, especially accent of west of Ukraine. Okay, so bishop takes c5, bishop f4. It's more okay. It's more okay to Polish or to Czech language. It's a little bit similar. Сербське трошку I am answering на чештини. Odpowiadam na czesztiny. Troszkę rozumiem. Lublin. There is excellent book which was written by Bartlomiej Maciej, Arcymistrz z Lublina, about Kieseritzky, about Adolf Andersen probably and other. Чи мовим по-польську? Розумім, nieźle, ale jeszcze nie mówię tak dobrze. My wife mówi bardzo dobrze po polsku. Przytelkynia była czeska. Heskie. Ten to rozumiem. Okay, let's come back to chess. Вратíme do шаху. Rook fd1, so it's quite standard position, but it's beautiful woman. Okay, women. Agree. They are beautiful. So it's quite standard position, but it's unpleasant to play such position with black because white is playing without any risk and can create some problems. Black can only try to defend. So if young Krzysztof Duda planned this position in his preparation, it hardly good choice for him. Türkler seni çok seviyor. Çok teşekkürler. Türkçe hoşlanıyorum. Biraz unuttum fakat çok hoşlanıyorum. Biraz unuttum çünkü çok pratik yoktum. What is white advantage? More active pieces a little bit, some advantage of development, and c6 square can be weak. Hala çok iyi Türkçe. Çok teşekkürler. So, okay, Queen c7. Maybe nothing special, but for sure not so pleasant. Rook d4. Not so standard move, but white is fighting for d-line. Castle, rook d1. Rook c8. Let's question if black needs rook on c8. Maybe h6 was prophylactic move. Aronyan Wojtaszek. Rook c1. Aronyan Wojtaszek was rook c1, rook c8, queen b1. So I was correct about Aronyan. So his opponent was Wojtaszek, and Wojtaszek played queen b8 here, right? Because knight d5 or knight b5, queen b8 looks like the most logical. Again, slightly better for white, but probably black can hold this position. So rook d4 probably novelty. Knight g5 and then takes, probably takes, and what? Okay, so Aronyan Wojtaszek. Okay, I will see. Okay, so rook d4 is probably novelty, probably home preparation, or decide to play this over the board. So he is fighting for d-line. Castle, rook a d1, rook a c8. It's natural move, but not obvious one. For example, rook fc8 looks like very solid alternative with idea after queen d2 to play knight f8. Something like this. I don't know what is wrong with knight c5, but knight f8 is maybe more flexible. I remember famous game Garry Kasparov against Judith Polgar. So Kasparov firstly wanted to play knight c5, but in that moment he missed bishop c6. So then he decided to play in this position. Also knight f8 seems me like logical, but probably for anyway is possible, however. And for example, in this, okay, now we have difference. Black can play knight g6. So from c5, black knight can go to g6, but now knight g6, black has equalized because after knight e5, for example, it's possible to take and just b5. Immediately, black hardly good to take on e5, but in future, in some moment, black can take and chances to equalize. So probably rook fc8 was interesting alternative. Yes. Was famous story. f8 square. On c5 looks like beautiful, but he cannot move because knight e4 it's dubious, and other moves are just not possible. So from f8, knight could go to g6. But knight e4 looks like logical, but at the moment we can see another problem. So a6, b6 are weak. So if imagine on b7 instead of b6, it could be easy draw, but with pawn on b6, it's far from easy. For example, this, if rook c2, rook d2, takes, and black still is suffering. Rook d6 is threat. If knight d5, f5 is unpleasant, black will have another weaknesses. So if not knight d5, rook d6 is coming and black is threat. So bishop d5 played Jan Krzysztof, but again, white is better because rook are much more active than black ones. a4, a5. I'm not sure that a5 was correct choice. Probably some waiting move like h6 is more logical, but this position require more deep analysis, of course. So he played a5, e4. Very concrete way. So if bishop b7, knight c4 looks like very unpleasant because b6 pawn is hanging and also knight d6 is coming. So bishop b3, it looks like forced, but now rook d3. Rook c1, bishop c2, rook c3. Black is underpinned. Cannot take on e4 because, not because of rook takes e4, rook takes f1 check. This is fine for black, but after knight takes e4, probably white can just take here and take here, and this endgame it's better for white because black has weakness on b6, for example. This bishop b5 and then knight c4 is coming. Black has chances to draw, but it's hard position. Okay, I am doing streams in my channel. Today, yesterday as well. Thanks subscription again. I see that it's interesting for my spectators. I am really happy about this. So bishop b3, rook d3, rook d1. Okay, rook c4 was unpleasant threat, but now we can see that black is bad coordinated. How long should we calculate a line from here? Okay, now what can I say about this position? Two pawns, two white pawns, a4 and e4. But after rook c4, okay, more or less obvious that still black is in trouble because coordination of pieces is much better for white. And b6 is chronic rook a8, Jan Krzysztof. But if I don't know if black has something. Maybe 3 is possible. Immediately knight h5 I'm sure because knight d7 is possible, and then white will take on b6 with advantage. Although black can fight after this and rook b8. But after f3 black can play g6 and there is threat to play knight h5, so probably black can hold this position with an accurate play. Thanks for subscription. It's very pleasant for me to see a lot of studies. I recommend you to solve mating problems. I mean, mate in 3, mate in 4. I think it will be good for your calculation, your imagination. Okay, so probably bishop b3 was more precise, but rook d8. Play young Krzysztof and knight c6. Now rook d2, but knight takes a5. At the moment he lost a pawn, and rook c8 is mating threat. Rook c2 is coming, and black is in trouble. Maybe it's possible to fight here. If rook d4, just play g6. Maybe it's not so easy, because if rook takes d1, b takes a5, black has an active rook and quite a good chances for draw. If knight c4, bishop f3, it's possible, so maybe black has chances here to survive. So rook c2 was an interesting alternative. Also white can take here, however, and now play knight c4. Probably this is more unpleasant for black, but that white can win this after this, and bishop somewhere, I don't know, maybe even bishop d1. Rook c2, bishop d3. Bishop d3 is possible. Yes, bishop d3 probably stronger, but okay, so this, bishop c6. And black can try to survive in this position. Pawn e4 is hanging. If f3, knight h5 is coming. So. Okay, still not clear. f3, if knight h5, f4, bishop a6 with idea b5, and suddenly black has problem with pawn. But okay, this is it losing position or knight c8? But I'm not sure that this is winning. Okay, it's of course very dangerous, but how to win? It's black bishop is attacked. b7 is not possible because I will take the bishop. If bishop goes somewhere, bishop d7, then king e7. So okay, maybe something else. f3, knight h5. b4, knight takes f4, bishop a6, king f8. So probably black can hold this position, who knows. I don't see a clear win for white. Okay, so rook c2 was an alternative. Keep pawn on b5, and but okay, black also wants to play king e7. So for example, this g5, for example. How to win this? And now maybe b5 and knight c8, knight d6. Okay, let's see. Now even bishop d7 is possible. So knight c. Bishop takes a4 may be better instead of knight d7. Bishop takes a4, move. But we are considering bishop d3. So rook takes. You mean probably knight d7, maybe more precise, maybe. Knight d7. a5 takes on a5 and takes on e4, and I don't think that white has real chances here because b pawn is too far from the queen, from the final destination, I mean from b8 square. Well, so he played g6. Rook c8, knight c4, it's more or less forcing. Rook c2. Rook d4 was also possible, probably. Looks like logical. And more or less same type of position. If knight takes b6, bishop takes a4, rook c4, rook takes 4, bishop takes c4, bishop c6. If f3, knight h5. But now probably king is bad on g7. So probably here white can play this and win. Because if king f8, b6, knight d6 and b7 is coming. Yes, so this is problem. So rook d4 is not so good. It's playable. Jobava, London. Okay, Jobava likes to play knight c3 in second move. Knight c3, d5, bishop f4. Yes, it's playable, especially with good preparation. I never played this, but it's playable. So rook c2 he played. b4. Rook c1 he played. Why rook c1? The problem he cannot take on e4 because what? Bishop d3 I wanted to say, but okay, maybe bishop d3 is strong, but after rook c1, white cannot take bishop takes e4 because bishop f3 mate. But after rook c1, knight takes b6 is possible. But bishop c2 check doesn't work because king g2. So black should play. If knight c3, king g2 is coming, bad for black. So rook a1 is possible. But anyway, white is playing king g2 and black is big trouble because white passive pawns are very dangerous. And black has no strong counterplay. So this is problem. Okay, black can fight knight d6 and knight f5 with idea rook a3, but objectively it's extremely dangerous. So rook c1 he played, rook b1, king g2. I don't know if rook b1 was correct, maybe rook a1. Knight d2 here. Knight d2, interesting. Idea of bishop f3 check, yes. Yes, you are right. Knight d2 is stronger. Forced line, so knight takes e4, bishop d3. Maybe knight takes b6 is possible. Knight b6 black can take, on c8 takes on a4, and this is enough for draw. So I mean, this line it's totally harmless for black. So bishop f3 not possible. So bishop looks like only a reasonable move. So rook c1. Knight takes b6, rook a1. Yes, probably you are right. If king g2, knight d2, and black has strong bishop f3 is threat. Is even mate in attack. For example, if a5, bishop f3, and rook g1, and white is losing because bishop g4, knight f3 mate. So after knight d2, white should play only f3. It's only move, but this position is very far from clear. Black has many options. Black cannot take on a4, however. Yes, f3 we are here because after rook a8 they are losing a piece, maybe, or maybe not. Knight takes f3, it's possible to consider. It's very shaky. Even king g3 probably possible. Difficult to believe, frankly speaking, that it works. But okay, after f3, black can do something more solid. For example, it's possible take and rook is... But this is not solid because after rook c2 I am losing the piece. King takes, so rook... your proposition here, rook a8, king takes f3, if bishop c6, bishop e4, but I don't think that white has winning chances here. Who will take? If bishop takes, I will play rook b1 and you are losing b4 pawn and only black can play for win. If knight takes, okay, this is better, but very difficult to believe that white can win here. But also you want to play bishop c6 and then b5, b6, b7 very quickly. So bishop e4. Maybe you are right. Okay, so this knight, of course. And how it's better to defend for black? I need to think. Rook a3, rook b3. Yes, surely. Rook a3, rook b3. So after knight takes f3, white need to demonstrate something else. Maybe bishop e4 immediately. Yes, why not bishop e4 immediately? This. If knight d2, simply bishop b7. Yes, so this is too dangerous, but okay, after f3, maybe just possible. Why not? It's totally possible. Is it everything okay with stream? Allo? 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 All good, okay. Versus Kasparov, but okay, very good, but we are considering Ding versus versus Duda. At the moment, I cannot to consider all game together. Okay, so this is black has serious contraplay, probably enough for draw. So knight takes e4 was quite interesting alternative. Sorry, knight takes e4. But Duda played rook c1 and rook b1. Now bishop e2 is threat, so king g2 is more or less forced. Rook takes b4, a5. So black can take pawn back, but white has very strong pawn. A5, so practically black are in danger. Okay, there is question if I'm coaching Tikhon Chernaev. No, I never met him. I heard about him, of course, but I never met him personally, and I never coached him. What I'm thinking about Bobby Fischer? Chess legend, what can I say? Excellent player. From Bucharest, thank you. Mulțumesc. Okay, I'm trying to show my best. So Rook b3 played. Now Black has choice. It's possible to take immediately on a4, but probably he afraid Rook c4. But after Rook c4, Rook b3, White cannot take the knight. Who will win? Okay, who will win? At the moment, it looks like only two players have real chances. Fabiano and Nepomniachtchi. Other players are behind, so probably somebody else can fight, but this somebody else needs to win a lot of games in last 5 rounds. If just somebody of other players will take +2, it's a good result. In 5 rounds, it will be not enough for first place. So at the moment, Fabi or Nepo. So knight takes e4, but also important. Alireza, okay, Alireza -1 now or -2? Not -2, but he lost 2 games already, but won 1 game. So, okay, difficult. Okay, it's totally possible. Imagine decent result for Alireza, but imagine that he will win. Okay, it's, for this he needs to win almost all of games. And this is extremely difficult in such a level. Strongest chess player of all time, in my opinion, Jose Raul Capablanca. Okay, but I don't dislike modern theories. There are many interesting things, and for me it's happiness, try to understand what is going on, where it's possible to improve something, or at least where I can have a choice. So after knight takes e4, probably situation is not so bad for black, but practically always it's dangerous because a pawn, it's a pawn. White can play rook c1, for example, and also because move 36, it could be a problem with time. Recaps be recorded anywhere. What you mean? A6 after A6 is possible. Rook takes b6, a7. Sorry, I didn't see it. Yes, a6. So it's about a pawn. A pawn, it's dangerous. Okay, maybe black is not losing immediately. Rook b3 is maybe possible. If a7, bishop f3 check, and if king g1, knight d2, something like this. If, for example, this, black is even winning. Rook b1. Oh, black has winning chances. Rook takes b6. A7, knight. Oh, okay, this endgame, I think white should win. Grady. Not so easy, but it should be winning. But okay, why not rook b3? Bishop h5. In which moment bishop h5? here bishop h5. Move, instead of bishop takes e4. In which moment? In move 40, you mean? Okay, we will, okay, maybe knight a4 is possible after a6, rook b3, and not so clear how white can win this. Because bishop f3 and knight d2 is threat, and black has quite serious contraplay. Okay, but so rook b3 is correct. But he played rook b3 immediately, rook c1. Here, according to computer, bishop h5. But okay, in move 40, it's almost impossible to find such a resource. And objectively, okay, so bishop h5. If f3, you mean black can take. If rook c7, to play again g5. And if f takes g5, knight is hanging. If knight c4, however, what black, rook b5, what? Rook b5, knight d6 is unpleasant. Okay, but maybe it's nothing special. If knight d6, rook a5, maybe black can hold this, but it's not human decision, especially in move 40. I don't know, however, how much time had Jan Krzysztof in this moment, but it's very difficult. Also, a6 is possible to consider. Okay, so I answered so many times for this question about this joke of Magnus Carlsen, so I have no idea to repeat my conclusions. If, okay, in 1 minute it's impossible to play bishop h5, of course. But maybe it was correct choice objectively, but it's... Even with a lot of time, it's difficult to find such a resource because it's not human resource. Okay, so he took on e4 and now rook c7 came. Knight d5 and now, okay, now bad news for black because a pawn will be on a7 and black has no contraplay. Now knight c6, probably knight d5 was the best chance still here. Try to attack at least f4 pawn, although white is obviously better after f3. But after knight c6, rook c7, the game is over because white has total control over the board. Black cannot do anything, white can do everything what they want. h4, domination in both flanks. Bishop b5, of course black cannot take here because after bishop c6 this is just losing. For example, if bishop takes c6, rook takes c6, if rook f8, rook b6 simply, rook b8. So game is over. Rook d7, same idea. Okay, it's not difficult one. Black is waiting. Okay. Of course, nobody never resign is too late, but objectively black has no chances anymore. Yesterday I analyzed Rajabov report. I don't remember concrete moment, but yesterday I analyzed this game. But I never check how much time had somebody during the game. So, rook c7. Game is over. Bishop d7. Black cannot defend e6 pawn while white is ready to improve his king. King e3, king a4. Jan Krzysztof resigned because this situation is totally hopeless for him. Okay, so congratulations for Ding with his first victory. And, he also can be considered like one of candidate to win this tournament with 50% and with very good quality of games, but difficult. For this, he needs to win more than 2 games in 5 rounds. It's quite difficult. Okay, so it's too late in Ukraine. I need to rest. I need to sleep. Thanks for attention. Thanks for subscription. And thanks for support my channel. And I hope to comment next round tomorrow. Good night.